for myself.
How old is the baby?
4 now,
She's
right?
She took him as baby?
Yeah.
Wow.
So this has been going on. They have literally forced her into homelessness because she would find a place, and then the social worker would call up the new landlord-tenant situation and talk to them, and then tell them what happened right after that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you tell them, not me.
Yes, so
It's your story.
my caseworker would lie in her reports, and she would lie to my landlords, the people that I would live with, and they would get scared and force me to have to leave their house because they didn't want to be involved with what I was going through.
It's crazy.
So it made me lose a lot of housing along the way.
This is all documented.
Everything.
Good.
and that's here in Hawaii,
Kauai.
but the state of Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So what? What's
So-
the conclusion you think? What they trying to do? They just
Well, it's gone on 4 years, and from Emiko Myers, which is an attorney over in Kauai, she told me straight up, this is that I came in towards the end of the case. This has been dragging on 4 years, and I asked her why it's dragged on, and she admitted COVID had a lot to do with why this got stretched out so long, because they usually don't like to have the children in the system shorter than like 2 years. Now, it's kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time. Bad because it's been 4 years separation for her and her daughter, but also good she hasn't lost her parental rights, which to me, hearing everything, I asked, Tony asked, psychological tests. She's passed 3 psychological tests. I asked point blank, because I'm a pastor, I'd bring her, she said she prayed because they were just stonewalling her everywhere. She just could not. It was like she felt like they were coming against her for real, right? Like it was like not imaginary. Every door that got opened, the social services got involved and the door would be shut.
Yeah.
So she was praying like, I don't know what to do. So she just said, okay, God, I'm going to go to Oahu and give it a try over there. You came, end of November, December?
End of December.
So end of December. So she's here for like a month, no luck. I end up talking to a young man that I had put an ad on Craigslist. That's how I met. That's how we met. And she said, I picked your place because Jesus was on the wall.
She was going to rent that place outside her second place.
Yeah, but she had the room. I just showed the living room, and I had that wall.
Yeah.
And I've had so many people come here because they said I felt like it was a safe place because Jesus was on the wall. So funny story. But anyway, so Danny couldn't rent here because he was trapped in a lease that he still couldn't get out of. His landlord wasn't. We kind of became friends, So he started talking to me, and I was like trying to get him to go to church, of course. And he says, I think I have mom issues. I'm like, you think? I mean, we started talking. He needs church. He needs mentorship from men. So I'll hook him up with you, Tom. Or Maury. I mean, he's just a handful too, but 24. So he calls me up and he says, okay, I know I can't rent it, but I feel like I have this friend, and I feel like you should like meet her because I think you can help her. And I said, well, what's wrong with her? He said, I don't know, but she needs a place desperately. Would you be open to meeting her? So he brought her over. At that point, I still didn't know the whole story, kind of a little bit in pieces. And Jennie has trust issues, and you can admit that now, right? And I mean, she's been through a lot, so she doesn't trust anybody. So I'm like, we're your 11th hour people from God sent, so you're going to have to trust us because we're the last, we're it, we're the Calvary. So she's been working on those, getting some trust issues back in place. And I've introduced her to our entire ministry, and they've just embraced her. Everybody's trying to help. But in fact, Maury and one of the board members that I think I told you about, John, who's really good. He quit his job the day that we met, right? They flew over to go to intercede at the courthouse in Kauai, and they won't even let you in. It's all private, you guys. Do you know how they're running kids on this planet? It's because they get these people who have no money, no support. Her family, basically, you want to tell them or you want me to tell them? Well, mom and dad, basically, when she got pregnant, said, you've disgraced the family. So she's kind of like not been with mom and dad since. So she's out there kind of orphaned from her own parents. The boyfriend, baby daddy, after a couple years of dealing with CW, says, I can't deal with it anymore. I'm not going to do it. So he just gave up his parental rights. So she's out here by herself for 4 years, trying to hang on by a thread with no money, no support, and really the mercy of strangers, honest to God, to get her to the point that I met her. So here she is, and now she's got to pay airline tickets back and forth to go to court and have visitations with her daughter. But if she's over there, she doesn't have a place to stay. She doesn't have hope of getting a job. She told me, I don't remember the exact words she said, but she said, I've kind of gotten used to just being in the state of depression all the time. And I'm like, that is just not acceptable. God wants you to win this, and he wants your story out there, because I think this is exactly, it's like the perfect model, because we've all been wondering, how are they doing human trafficking on this planet? You got to have really corrupt people on the inside working with really corrupt people on the outside, and they got to target people who can't defend themselves. It takes money to fight this. This is not even her fault. Well, what happened is she figured it out.
The really sad part about all of this is that people that are in this position, most of them either have family support or have to hire a private lawyer. So I didn't have either of that. So I've tried to do everything throughout this entire court case, literally with no support. So that's part of another reason why it's taken so long. She's
in foster care.
She's on quiet.
Good foster care?
We don't know. She doesn't even.
I don't know who it is. Yeah, I don't even know the person who's taking care of
when
her.
I came in, the social worker, I'm not even kidding, told me her big thing was stable housing. I said, I've been here 22 years. I went to Bible school with her niece 20 years ago. I don't know, it's been a long time. I said, my first job was at the promotions director at the Fish radio station. They gave me Y&I whole West Side. I worked with the I know a lot of pastors. So I said, if we want to have real revival, we just got to get a team and start calling people, get on the phone and get organized, because we did it before 15 years ago in front. You guys know Dr. Bruce Wong, he's a chiropractor. Was super successful back in the 80s or 90s when we first moved. He was 90s when we first moved here. He was really, really booming, boom. He was the hot thing in town. All the people our age were at Dr. Wong's or a chiropractor and eating healthy, and it was nice because he opened up his doors, and I started calling all these pastors I knew from my job at the radio station, and literally we'd have sometimes 150 to 300 people show up. So we started practicing for such a time as this, different pukas that we wanted to have in the kingdom, not in the world system. We started getting educated. We had a man I didn't know Maury yet, really. We had a man come in from Vegas who was a trust expert, but those trusts that he set up for us back then in the day were Vegas trusts, because at the time, that's all we knew was the best trust to have. And we spent quite a bit of money back then. In fact, my husband still he talks about it to this day. But Maury came into my life, right? And we started studying about the 508. And the 508 is a separate, set apart jurisdiction. It's not in the corporate dead fiction. I call it the corporate dead fiction because when we get born, they put us into that. It's called a Sestake V trust. Is that correct saying, Maureen? Sestake V trust. So that's the public trust that is linked with everybody's birth certificate, right? It's really bondage to Satan's system because it's all admiralty maritime law. So I'm just going to give you some quick history so you guys kind of understand how this. But at the 14th Amendment under the Constitution, what happened is they just basically, instead of giving everybody liberty and freedom, they tricked everybody and made everybody bond servants to their bank, to their private banking. So it is a cabal, it is a cartel, whatever you want to call it. My least two favorite occupations on the planet are bar attorneys and bankers. It's so funny. I always tell people, because I grew up with a bar attorney, and we're working with an ex-banker right now, JC. Yeah. But he died and went to heaven and came back and said, I'm not interested in banking anymore. So now he's interested in souls. It's a different thing. So that's where we're at today. Maury and I started studying and teaching our group about 4 years ago now. We've been consistently meeting track speech. We took Ikaika, where I asked you guys if you wanted to come today, had an LLC in a CrossFit gym. But once he wanted to donate everything to God and make it all about full-time ministry, we just took that LLC, converted it into a 508. Well, that's what I was saying this morning, because we are right now, we've had the same space, he's had the same space. Has it been 10 years? It's been a long time. but there's a lot of illegal, like a loft they put in. But when he signed the sublease of a sublease, I believe, it was just as is, right? So now, fast forward, they want to sign a brand new long-term lease, but there's got to be a lot of renovations. Is that to my understanding? So
Renovation to
This-
conform.
yes,
Everything gotta be conformed. So you gotta
Yes.
you gotta throw them out.
yes. So it was funny because I was telling Monica, because I just kept telling him in my spirit, because I've been involved in the humanitarian reset stuff for years, global currency, Maury too, all of us for years. I don't know if you guys know Pastor Rob Taylor. He helped start Word of Life and Friendship Bible back. He's 67 now. One of my dearest friends. I love him to death. He's been there for me for the last 20 years when I've been on the island. He's like my mentor. And then Maury. He got married to a younger woman, and she was jealous of even friends with women. So Maury came into my life, which is great. And like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like Robert Kiyosaki, I grew up in the legal system. Bar attorney father, didn't think anything was wrong with any of it, honestly, until I worked in his law firm. And then my eyes were open. And I thought, because I always thought those guys should be like the they should be like pastors, right? Anything but the most, everything that people get arrested out there for, they're doing, but they just fix each other's tickets. They just get away with whatever they want because they're in the secret club. And it's like a sorority or fraternity. If you're in that club, you never get in trouble. It's why none of the presidents or the people who have gotten caught doing so many heinous things never get in trouble at all. They just don't. That's what happens. But different standard for us, the children of God. So when we started studying, well, Maury is the one who really honestly started teaching me there's a whole nother jurisdiction out there. Only we didn't know. I was like, oh my God. My dad didn't even know because he doesn't study God's word. So when I started learning this stuff, I'd say, oh, you're in the wrong jurisdiction. You're working for Admiralty Maritime. You're working for Satan, Dad. He'd go, you're crazy. Bunk. And this went on for like 15 years. And the more I learned, the more neurotic I got, like, 'cause I got to save my dad, you know? And the more I pushed about how crazy his system because that's all he's ever known. Since he went in his 20s, started studying all this stuff, right? And so here's his daughter going,
So about up to us today.
well, when he passed away, before my dad passed away, he knows. He called me up and he said, I don't have any idea how you knew all this. And I knew since I was in high school working.
Oh, he knew about it.
No, he did not.
The
Blind, deaf, dumb, and blind, because he didn't study. You have to study the word and you have to study the legal system. That was the only way anything ever makes sense. Because Dad told me before he passed, he said, well, this is all based on God's word. Good word, based. We practice law. Why do we practice law? Because we don't know the law that we're practicing, right? But the truth is, and he said, even when they go to law school, they're supposed to read the Bible. I said, did you Cliff Notes? Like they don't know the word of God. And it's like, even if you just read the word, like I went to Bible school at 40, got a master's degree in theology and divinity at 40. Who does that? I mean, I went because I was so desperate for truth and I was starting to study. And then I met Maury and I was like deep dive. And I was like, okay, now I understand. I've read all the parables over and over. I've written thesis statements to graduate school. But it was based on my own understanding and Pastor Art Sepulveda, who was teaching the class, of his understanding, which is all wrong, too, because he doesn't understand any of the stuff. Nor did Mike Lewin, who was my neighbor, who was with New Hope up here. I mean, all these folks, when I started coming out, like, oh, and I get this, right? We actually went to Alelo with a bunch of my Christian friends. What was that, like 10 years ago? Sat in a boardroom at Alelo with at least 14 of them because we were ready to go and start teaching them and educating them. You guys, we're in the wrong jurisdiction. If we fix our status, and then I started studying the assembly work. You guys know what the common law assemblies are? Okay, so again, two different jurisdictions. There's common law, which is for people with breath and blood. Where did Jesus say the life is? In the blood. Is there a blood in a dead fiction corporation? No. What gives life to a corporate, now think about this, corporate fiction straw man entity. What would give it life? That entity. And do you guys know what an entity is?
Right.
An entity is like a legal fiction. It's like a made-up character that we're agreeing in their rule book
The rule book, correct.
that we are going to abide by their laws, which are anything but the Most High's laws. It's commerce. So they tricked us into taking the all capital name, which is if you pull out your driver's license, your birth certificate, every single thing is in all capital names. So they took the living, breathing, life and blood baby like this little one, comes in, she's not a corporation. The state didn't create her, right? But before she gets out of the hospital is a ward of the state. Correct me more if I'm missing anything. He's like my mentor.
No, I'm missing anything.
I've been studying with him for 15 years, so I'm pretty good. I can preach it, man. I mean, I can't wait. Because it's like, we have some of our other passionate people that all of a sudden, one of our guys John, he just finally quit. He said, I can't do it anymore. Because yes, we like having nice houses and stuff, which we should as children of God. But if that is more important than studying the Word to figure out what we've all figured out, we're still operating in Satan's system saying that I'm saved. No, you're not. You're not saved until you publicly declare and decree a thing, and you can walk into one of their courts and ask him. I did it. Walked in. My car hasn't been registered for 4.5 years. I've been pulled over twice. I have a testimony of my friend Dave. Remember the wine guy that we went to his thing? Pulled me over 2 sheriffs, and they literally gave me back my book and said, have a great day. No ticket. The one time I did get tickets, I went to court with him. I went in and just said 2 words, and they're like, case dismissed, all charges dropped. And I was like, and
What
more.
were the 2 words?
Well, they asked me, state your name was the second part, or something about the charges against me. And I said, I'm here, and here's the right magic words, by special appearance. I'm not claiming to be the dead fiction straw man thing. I got born again. Redeemed. Redemption means you're coming out of Admiralty Maritime Law. You got salvaged from the sea. There's no more sea in heaven. Everybody thinks there's no more ocean. No, there's no more. Just like the Pope just died. It's all coded. So I'm imagining you guys have a lot of money that's been promised, private funding. Pretty sure it's probably mostly all coming from this global reset, because we've been in it for 13 years, like 14 years now. So we've been sitting on waiting. But I've not been sitting. I've been busy. I've been studying all this, getting assemblies started. We've got friends that study with him that are also supporting bringing back the Hawaiian Kingdom. So there's just so much. But when you get the pastors, this was the original thing once I started learning this. If we could get all the pastors that aren't, and it's really easy to tell, honestly, at this point, who's completely not in it because of Yahushua, the Most High, and who's just in it for tax deductible, for 501c3 and playing church, because they always say, oh, I'm really good with my 501c3. I don't really need anything like that, because it's all about just they get their tax deductible status. But when I tell them you can still get the same thing with 508, well, why would you want them to be your controller, your father, your mother, telling you what to do as the government, when you're supposed to be taking orders direct, connect from the Most High? And they but we have to comply with. No, you're not to conform to the world. You're supposed to come out of the world. And they just
So you're saying your car is not registered?
yeah, and I went to court. I'll show you exactly what happened. This is the power of it.
I came to look in the room and the Lord brought me.
The reason I'm just
Man,
telling you
'cause
this,
it's a
this is
lead.
how powerful the 508 is. It's not their jurisdiction, and they don't have any. It's
Manka has to leave.
oh, okay. Well, let's get on to then. Look right here. This was for no insurance and no tax, and it says case dismissed without prejudice.
So no insurance too?
No, because and then he said right in front of the entire courtroom filled with people. I was the only one who they just got out of there, and he said, because he had to save face, right? Everybody else is getting fines or jail time or this, and I'm like the only one, and they're all looking at me like, what'd she do, right? And he goes, she doesn't own the car. I switched the title into the 508 trust, I identified who I am as my first and middle name, house of, clan. I went through 3 different things: house of, clan of, family of, and I didn't even get to my last name. They're like, hey, stop smash, all charges dropped. So it's powerful because we are overstanding.
So
them.
now, when you guys work
Uh-huh.
or when you guys do business,
We don't do business, we only serve. You can have the 508 own a business. You don't want to own anything. You've heard it before, Tom.
yeah.
Okay, you got to pay attention, you guys. I
Thank you
told
real
she
quick.
she wanted me like today. She's like, I need another trust. I'm like, no. We have to slow down because you guys got to understand how all this layers and
operates.
works and operates. Because the worst thing we can do is send you out prematurely and say you got pulled over and you just decide I'm going to drive like a Hava, but you have no idea what to say or do.
Right.
And blah, 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 and they know it. They can
Yeah.
smell it. Like you
Do
don't
mind-
know
can
what
you
you're.
show your driver's license, if you don't mind, the part where it says
Cool.
something.
Oh, taped on it, agent.
you
all rights.
She taped
I
on her
taped on my
license.
driver's license.
What
yeah.
does it say?
It's in my car.
No, what does it say?
It says agent, comma, all rights reserved.
Yeah, there.
UCC
And
1-308.
No law enforcement.
So the Kingdom guys doing this too.
Well, I'm going to let Maury speak about
Okay,
the
okay.
kingdom, guys, because
Yeah.
that's
I know
not
she
my
gotta
that's
go
not
too.
my wheelhouse. But so what
I
I'm
got
saying
15
is, once
minutes.
we hear what you guys are wanting your team for, and Maury, I'm going to let him tell you too. We've been together like you say. He's like my other part, you know, like family.
Brothers as
And
well.
John
Yeah.
and Ikaika, and it's been 4 years, but we have a team. I mean, we've already gone through the people coming in, they want to, you know, and then they're gone. And it's okay because it's like separating the wheat and the tares, right? We're seeing who's going to stay the eternal course and who's, you know, not. And it's really, I think at this point where I think we all kind of talked about it, we just kind of know. Like, we just do. And no judgment, they're just not ready yet. I mean, or they may be even coming in to try to be like, in the assembly work, they call it a provocateur, coming in with a, you know, like politics to cause problems, and you won't see it until the problem is there. So discernment is everything, teaching all this. So
Yeah, just understanding how this thing works.
yeah, so I mean, we can set up. We have a lot of people now asking us that have big networks, and I know she's a big but we can't go big until we get the core team solid. I mean, I would not feel comfortable with what you guys have blessings coming in until you're so strong and what you know, where we're going to put these funds and how we're going to move. And documentation, I've learned from my mother and Maury, is everything too. If we keep really good minutes and records and stuff, like everything we're spending money on or time, the records are everything. Maury, would you say that's like huge, right? Like documentation. So anyway, you guys, I'm going to shut up at giving you an overview. Maury can tell you anything you want to know about 508, layering the businesses under the 508 where you don't have to ever own anything. I own nothing. I don't even have a bank account in my name. I operate through our church. I'm a full-time minister. She knows. She's lived here 4 months. Is all I do. It's all he does. It's all we do is teach and preach and go serve and help people.
You're right.
So we have evidence, you know what I mean? Just like those people on TV who receive big, huge millions and millions of grant and they have no evidence or anything. Where did the money go? We have videos. We're like literally on YouTube every single day. Like, you know, I was sitting here with her one day. We just turned it on and we had 840 views because we're speaking truth. And we're wanting to bring the people of God together so we can actually get all of these bad people out so his kingdom can be made manifest. With that, shoot away with Maury. What are your plans? Tell us about Conseco, what you're trying to do, what kind of team.
Maury, would you mind very much, sir? Can
Yeah,
you
please.
share? Can you
Right.
share to us about your legal background and all that, if you don't mind?
Okay. I went to school in California. I graduated from Irvine. I'm a undergraduate at Loyola, which is a Jesuit college. My successes were the first medical marijuana case in California. A lady with sickle cell anemia, while she was in the Air Force, she found out that she had sickle cell. They treated her for that and prescribed cannabis for her. I knew her from years ago. I didn't know I would run into her 20 years later. She was at the court one day and I saw her and we started talking. She told me what happened. and that's when I first began to share people just some of these insights into the law, divine law as opposed to man's laws. And
That's important.
she won.
Divine law.
She was acquitted of 15 criminal charges. Okay, but I don't represent anyone. I only show you how to stand in your own legal capacity. Because your highest standing is in your own capacity. When you use an attorney for any purpose, your pleading is you're incompetent.
That's it.
Mentally incompetent.
That's it. Very important.
Unable to handle your own business or affairs. I came over here sometime, I think, 2010. I worked with Aleka over on Kauai.
And Nathan.
Aleka claimed to be the king of Hawaii at the time, and Atuli. And I worked with them. We took them to the United Nations. I drafted proposals for Chief Miko, who was the chief of Tahiti. And I also drafted proposals for several other entities, NGOs primarily. That's why I say your name, NGO. It stands for non-government organization.
Well, now she is a non-government organization because we made her legal name into a 508. So that's part of our strategy for getting the daughter
I
back.
also authored the GDI, which is the Global Development Initiative. So I found out that Aleka was not the bloodline of the Kamehamehas. Hava met a young lady at church service, and she was the niece of Lorenzo, Wenceslao Lorenzo, and she introduced her to me. And since
That was a
time,
divine appointment too, because I didn't know her at all, and I was leaving early, pastor-sized church, and she chased me out and asked me if I knew the law, and that's how I hooked her up with Maury.
Okay, and then?
Anyway, we drafted a number of documents. We attempted to get I guess it would be a grant from a bank or from a private bank, and which initially we were in compliance. We completed our all of our paperwork for the loan and qualifying Lorenzo for the loan. And what happened was they found out that Mr. Lorenzo's certification came from Cecil B. Jacobson. Cecil B. Jacobson, you may be familiar with the name. He was a medical doctor that went to jail for, they called it moral turpitude, but what it was is he owned a clinic.
A fertility
A
clinic.
fertility clinic. And a woman came to visit him to get the smart seeds, right? And what happened was he said, "I'm the smartest person I know," and so he contributed. Contributed to the samples, and maybe 10, 15 years later, two people encountered each other and found out they had the same father, I think it was. And so she knew that the only way that could happen was receiving the same semen. So what happened was they put him in prison for that. While Mr. Lorenzo, here in Hawaii, foreclosure has been an issue for a while. He was attempting to help folks who had land patents based on his allodial title. So he drafted deeds of trust to protect them from the foreclosure. And for that, they arrested him, charged him with fraud, when in reality, the only reason he was lost is because they didn't accept the verification from Mr. Jacobson, because he was a felon. When Mr. Lorenzo went to jail, he met Mr.
Jacobson.
Yeah, Mr. Jacobson, and that's where he felt comfortable with that, in that he never lost his medical training or his medical degree. He only lost his license to practice medicine. And so from
But
there,
he didn't lose his genealogy certificate, you said.
Well, no, it wasn't a certificate because he wasn't.
He was a
Yeah, it
genealogist,
was.
though,
He
right?
was. He
He
was a.
said, I lost my right to practice medicine, but
Yes.
I'm still
Still,
a certified genealogist, right? And he didn't lose that
so
by going
we
to jail.
lost that particular inroad for monies to fund the kingdom. So our discussions. We have a financial advisor in Chicago that helped us to really chart our course after Cecil's denial. They denied Cecil's. We did the KFC for Lorenzo. So I found Gabriella Vargas, who is one of the world's renowned forensic scientists. She did a DNA study of Mr. Lorenzo and found that he is the fifth great grandson, seventh generation of Kamehameha.
Yeah. So he's got.
He, because of the cultural, the cultural issue of incest, his father's side, the brother and sister married. On the mother's side, she was the sister of Kamehameha. So he's actually the fifth to his father and the sixth to his mother. Because of the incest, he was related both sides of the, and so that anomaly is really what we believe will carry this through, through the Hague, through anywhere we have anyone to oppose him. He can show his genealogy clearly. Shows that he is the living heir to Kamehameha. His name is Wenceslao.
Wenceslao
is a famous book
called Good King Wenceslao. You can look it up on Google or something. Good King Wenceslao. And I thought it was so funny what brought to mind because Obama was building over in the Guaymanalo area. And I said, Maury, isn't it interesting that he thinks like he's the king of the world during the time Obama? And he's building on crown land in Hawaii. And then the true king of Hawaii with the allodial title, which means, and it's like that. I remember the day that Gabriella told, I was on a conference call. Well, I was listening when him and Gabby were talking on the phone. And she said, not only does he have Kamehameha line on one side about what he's saying about the incest, he's got cocoa from both sides. So it proves he's like the highest one. Nobody else probably got cocoa from the both sides, from mommy and daddy, right?
Well, again, that's why I said.
That's what I'm saying. So it's kind of his ace in the hole. He is the chosen one to gain back the allodial title. So if they can get back the allodial title to the Kingdom of Hawaii, then the next situation is, how do you take all the quote, because they made us unlawfully into U.S. citizens, right? Which we don't want to be U.S. citizens anyway, because it's a dead fiction corporation. So even if we're still in the mainland, or say for me, we want to be a U.S. national, because then now you've got converted back into a living, breathing man or woman. So how do we...
Please.
Slow down. Okay, I get excited about this.
So we move forward with her genealogy report, and so right now we're working towards the coronation of Lorenzo for July the 4th this year.
Wow.
So if everything goes as planned, we have a couple of investors that are interested in assisting the kingdom. They know that there's 170,000 metric tons of gold that's owned by the Kamehamehas. And the allodial title is entitled to all the archipelago, all of the lands. And one of the strategies that we introduced is to claim the lands through the U.S. Postal Service. There are no postal zones on any of the other islands except in Hawaii has a single code. So once we move that to include all of then technically all of those areas belong to. They do anyway because they're on the allodial title.
That's interesting.
So the allodial title is what permits the kingdom to still exist. Otherwise, we'd be going through the laws of war, the occupation. Which side, Keanu side, Williamson, Chang, all these folks are, they feel, well, they went to court. I don't know if you know the case, the Lanson versus the Hawaiian Kingdom case a few years ago, that was adjudicated. It was a guy who got a ticket, and they put him through a lot of changes, and he sued the Hawaiian Kingdom. Well, it was done so that Hawaii could get recognition by that particular court, and so they got recognition, but they can't move forward with the recognition. He calls himself the regent, but he has no authority with that. He has no authority, especially with the certified genealogy and DNA reports. So
Lorenzo is a Wamanolo boy.
Man,
he's in Mamanello,
How old
correct?
is he?
He's younger than I, so I don't know exactly.
probably
but I mean,
around
40.
late 60s,
no,
early
no,
70s.
he's older. He's like maybe
Early
4 or 5.
So he
years
has the
younger.
he has documents to prove
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got.
Well, he has
As a
two
matter of fact,
genealogy reports
What's
now.
his first
from
name?
his mom and dad.
his first name is
No,
Wenceslao.
from the guy who did
Lorenzo is
the
his
genealogy
surname,
report
his
first
last
time,
name.
but it
And
was
he's
a
still
male when
alive.
it was done.
He's
so
still
they wouldn't
alive,
count
yes.
it, even though it was accurate.
He's
But now we have another one with the
69,
two sides of
He
the
stays here in
bloodline
Oahu?
came from Kamehameha.
I don't think he's in his
So he is
70s.
the
lives
guy.
here
There's
in
nobody
Oahu?
going to have
He lives here in
genealogy
Oahu?
bigger
He
than
lives in
that.
Wamanello.
So once you have that
He lives
place,
in
you
Oahu.
can restore
How
the
long has
kingdom.
this
But
case
now you
been
got to
going
get the
on
people,
for?
just like what's going on in the U.S.
There's
right
no
now between
case
left and right brain.
pending, but
So
there
it's
is
really, to
like
me, it's like it's
an
such-
appeal
you can't
pending.
go
Okay,
left, you
what
can't
happened
go
was
right.
he went to
It's
jail
too
for
corrupt.
that.
So we level
And
up
when he
and we
went to
all
jail,
move all the people
I'm
back
gonna stop
into
until
their
we go
kingdom.
all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you asked me a question. I'm sorry. Well, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
So I got 3 minutes, but I referred them highly because I referred them both. They're very knowledgeable in law versus an attorney bar, but Mr. Maury, Vivian, and Thomas, they've got all your answers. So they wanted to understand how to protect their assets, and then that's why I wanna, because I'm gonna take off.
Okay,
So
good.
that's the one that they wanna understand.
Well, that's
what
one
are
of the things that
steps.
we're
Yeah.
approaching now. Like I said, the
Yeah.
protection of the allodium is the main thing here in Hawaii. They haven't been able to just, and it was King Kamehameha's the third, that this is why he wrote it into the Constitution in the manner that he did. And I'm just paraphrasing.
I see.
He said, the cup is the kingdom. That's mine. What's in the cup belongs to the Konihikis, to the Ali'is, to the chiefs, etc. So he made a distinction because he knew that if Hawaii was ever occupied or conquered, the first thing they do is confiscate the land. So they're unable to confiscate the land here in Hawaii. And Mr. Trump knows that. Mr. Trump doesn't have a hotel here in Hawaii because he can't own it. But his name is on one hotel.
Just the name is on the
just the
building,
name.
that's it.
Okay, so we're in communication with Mr. Trump, and we are going to stretch that as far as we can. Okay, because we've had 3 presidents to apologize for the illegal overthrow of Hawaii. President Grover Cleveland,
Oh, yeah.
Barack Obama, of course, and Clinton.
Clinton, yeah.
So those guys effectively created what's known as the apology bill.
But they never made restitution. So you can apologize all day long, but if you
No
don't
action,
make exactly faith without works is what? Dead. So,
So
they
as
have to
the
make action.
Attorney General,
So, Maury, I met some people in Maui. There's people in Oahu. They in a group saying they get lineage to the kings. I mean, they get proof and documents.
okay.
So what is that? Is that
There are plenty of heirs. There are plenty of Kamehamehas, but there's none in direct line. He was appointed as he was appointed by the nobles, who were all members of the Kamehameha family.
who
Based on the Constitution, he
when you say who is that?
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo was appointed in 1983
Was it 95?
or 93. I can't remember the
That was
exact
early
date.
90s.
He was appointed. He was a young person that time.
He's been
Younger.
on this trip for these 40 years. He's been struggling with this. Again, he went to
30 years
jail.
they've been trying to get
So
back.
now when you say Lorenzo is not a Hawaiian name,
Yeah.
but so is it a Hawaiian name, Lorenzo?
I don't know. You know
Maybe
better than
No. I just trying to.
Yes,
trying
yeah,
to
that's
I
what
thought
I
would, I questioned it also, but they said that he.
no, but it's maybe it's just
A given name.
A
You
given
know how
name?
they give them when they live in
I don't.
the
I
Hawaiian
couldn't.
Well,
I
they
can't
also
really
had
answer.
the mom. From his own mouth, he said they sent his mom. Didn't they send her over there because they were killing the Kamehameha kids? So she
The
kind of
line.
they kind of put her in hiding.
Maybe they gave him that name strategically to protect him.
Probably.
Okay.
That's
But
what
then,
I'm
but the
thinking.
bottom line,
Plus
he
they-
has.
He got the
connection.
proof.
He's
He
got
got.
the-
He
he's
got
got
the
the
genealogy.
So he's right now the most legit
Kingdom.
person that has
The blood.
close. You said 5 generation.
Yeah.
The heir.
5 years.
Because she calls him the heir.
Yeah.
She said he's the closest heir that she's.
So what he's doing now?
Yeah, what do they do now?
We're,
say he's
we're
trying to do-
reorganizing. We've just reorganized completely the executive council. I'm the attorney general for the newly organized,
Hello.
restored.
Oh,
Go and then go get him.
okay.
So I mean, but he's living in the system. So he just to survive. Is he an employee, an
No,
employer?
no, he doesn't. He doesn't work. He works for the kingdom. That's how he does.
Well, he's retired now.
He
He's
is.
in his
He
70s.
definitely is.
So that other guy, Bumpy.
Yeah, I'm familiar with.
He was given some land from.
I was we founded the Lily Okalani. This is when I thought Lily Okalani had some jurisdiction over the Hawaiian estate. I was in air. Same with Patricia Bishop.
Bishop.
Yeah, she is not even a bloodline of Kamehameha. She was Hanai in the family.
I'm sorry.
Oh, hey.
Oh, she's adorable.
Yeah.
Whose baby is she?
For kiss.
It's
Everybody.
her granddaughter.
Our third granddaughter.
Oh.
I mean, you had three. Sorry, Mark.
That's okay. So she was Hanai.
She was
Bishop,
alive.
yeah, she wasn't a blood
So Little Kalani,
Kamehameha.
how about Little Kalani?
They did that intentionally in order to create the trust to hold all the assets.
see.
Now the judges and the lawyers, the courts control all of the assets belonging to the Hawaiian people and
1
Kamehameha.
year. So she's
And again, they did that to Patrice
15 months.
Bishop because she's not a blood heir.
I would have contributed.
So Little Kalani Trust right now in Big Island, we're dealing with trying to get land from them to consent check. But everybody goes, oh, it's under the Little Kalani Trust. You got to see them.
Yeah, but see, all of the trusts belong to the king. Every single one of them are based on the assets of the
Yeah.
king.
Wow.
And
The
here's
land and the assets
there's some-
belong to
So eventually, when things all
they're going to happen. It's going to happen this year. It's going to happen this year. Mr. Trump is not going to allow this to keep on going. There's several two issues that we're dealing with: the child endangerment, if you will,
Trafficking.
right? But that's
Yeah.
what she's
Yeah,
facing.
that's his passion as well as mine.
Good.
And
So
Christian.
here's the thing, because you got to go, right?
Yeah.
So
5 minutes.
one of the other things we learned from his friend Gabriella, that she is what a cold case files. She breaks cold case files that have been done for years and breaks it with DNA. So that's really good. But you know what she told us? She found out that the trustees on the Bishop estate in the agreement are only supposed to serve 7 years, but most of them, would she say, it was over 20 or 30 years.
They've been on most of them.
They're all illegal. They're all unlawful and illegal. They're only supposed to be there for 7 years, but they're all the bar attorneys in Hawaii, in the Hui, they're all part of the problem. That they're a mafia. That is exactly what is going on. Let's just be honest. It's what it
Wow.
is. So the pastors sucking up to these politicians and not knowing arm with the word and arm with what's really going on.
That's it.
They're completely serving Satan by trying to just kiss
So when you
their
say Mr. Trump knows the wrongdoing, this year what he's just gonna show documents of Lorenzo?
Well, no. Well, one of the things is the most important issue is Pam Bondi's focus on the child trafficking.
Correct.
Yeah, we are going to use her
That's
case.
and so we got a case. I mentioned
That's
that
why
case.
we need to win.
In our,
because
I didn't want to come
Oh,
on too strong, but I came on real
Almost 4
strong
months.
about Hawaii and about Hawaii holding the gold
adopted
that doesn't
a
belong
$9
to
Don't
them.
belong to them.
And about the use of the military over 106
3 boys,
bases,
never dealt with
6
a girl before, so
divisions of the
experience.
military here in Hawaii.
The
Plus
military.
They got the
she's
best
been so
lands, the
traumatized.
best
I
beaches,
mean, just, it's
and not
insane.
even paying
And not
any
even
rent.
paying anything.
Yeah. So, but then Trump was saying there's like all these billions of dollars going out to this vacant buildings and vacant land, and he said he's gonna stop the funds.
They're gonna, but Hawaii's not receiving any funds. They got $1 for the lease. $1 for the lease. Look, come on now. You can even be,
That's
that's no.
crazy.
Yeah, the
You know,
whole
and when they
contract was
find,
just-
they're gonna find more corruption, like $1 million a
Oh,
year
they will.
salaries for the trustees.
And where the
he's
missing
finding
kids
plenty
are
already.
from
Yeah.
Maui
Yeah.
and all that stuff, you know,
Dodge-
there's just
the Dodge
so
team
much
is finding so much
That's
stuff.
right. So
Elon.
There were 700 indictments on Maui several years ago for people like us putting in about child trafficking, and because of the corrupt court systems, nothing's ever been done.
I don't
So
wanna run
all of
away.
these
Can we
kids-
continue again? I want to come back some more.
Absolutely. Well, this is what we're saying. So, the people like us, right, that
Yeah.
want to learn the truth, that are going to operate these trusts and outside of their parameters so they can't touch us, we have to study together because we have to educate all of you, like the generals, the guardians of the funds when they come and all that other stuff. Because if we just put it right back into the old way here, let them control everything, we'll lose this opportunity. This is really honestly between her case
thank
and
you.
seeing the
Thank
fraud,
you.
and I mean so blatantly. We
Okay.
have so much proof of
Okay.
what's going on. They
Okay.
target kids like her. And how this all started, she was seeing the boyfriend, the baby daddy. She was
Oh yeah. But
trying
she's doing
to
this
take care of it in her
autopsy.
own
We have
way.
to do it.
Went to a
Does she
therapist.
have a
8 to
boyfriend?
4 to
Yeah, and she
4.
moved to Kauai. She got a boyfriend, and
No,
he
4 to
wasn't
4.
treating.
At the baby's
The baby's dad.
Okay.
So he wasn't treating her right, was being disrespectful and scaring her emotionally. So she started seeing a therapist to talk to therapists about what to do. The therapist went around her and called CWS and said, I think this could be a
Thank
potential
you.
problem.
Oh, maybe
So they
tomorrow
show
we
up
can
and
get
take
together,
the
'cause I got
child.
some more
But she
information.
never said, like, he's hitting me. There's never been any evidence this entire time of any violence, like physical.
Okay.
And I told her, what kids without God don't have arguments? And Jennie is extremely sensitive. I would say, bye, honey, love you. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we'll talk tomorrow. We'll start working. Okay. So, and she's by her own admission, she grew up kind of sheltered, you know. So you put somebody who, and
Is she the only child?
she's she's got a daughter or sister older than her, but she said she kind of grew up very sheltered and kind of like an only child. And her sister got no car accidents, I guess, when she was young. So she doesn't even drive. She's 30 years old because her parents wouldn't teach her
She's
to drive.
30.
They treated her evidently like she's a little kid. So it's like, if you could, she's on the young side for
You know,
30,
how old is
mentally,
she?
emotionally.
She's what? How old is she?
30. But
She's
when you
30.
talk to her, and nobody believes it. I'll show you her driver's license, but it's like we've been mentoring her as a ministry, as a collective for the last few months. We know she's got trauma. We know she's got emotional issues. But because with the system, they targeted this stuff and they really set her up. I mean, the social worker, the minute she finally filed, thank God I got a place for me and my daughter, and she's working really hard. She's only missed one court date at the court in 4 years. That's insane, with no money, no support. She slept in the park and the airports. Like literally, one of the guys who helped her with this, she met a random, Jerry's just like a guardian angel person, paid her rent the first month here because she's literally been homeless, just bouncing around, exhausting and just not willing to give up, but literally about to crack up. Well, before she found us, she was just suffering with depression so bad. Is this, and to top the whole thing off, they accused her at the beginning of the case that she was being sex trafficked, and that she was going to sell her baby. Why would she spend 4 years trying to get her baby back if she was just gonna sell it? I mean, it doesn't even make any sense.
These guys gonna use it.
They are literally targeting her and setting her up,
Her
and because
other people like her.
and because she has ADHD, she's attention. She gets easily frazzled, and they can't pin any diagnosis. They said PTSD symptoms, but they won't even label her with that because if they label her with a disability, now they have to start taking care of her too. They don't want to take care of her. They want to make it like she's a bad mom, so they can justify stealing that kid. And how many pedophiles around the world who have lots of money would not want a 4-year-old that's adorable and beautiful, and they can just cart her off?
So now
and
that,
it's all being, here's the kicker, I never knew this, you guys, all being done in private. They went to court to try to say, hey, our church will adopt her, Jennie, and the child. They couldn't even get in. They wouldn't let them in.
It's the privacy of the child that they're trying to protect that's the guise of what.
I think it's the privacy of the court they're trying to protect, so
Stupid.
they can do whatever
But
they
that's
want,
the-
get away with it without all of us
They're
people
barristers.
knowing.
They're barristers. That's what barristers do. That's what they. We shouldn't be surprised at what they do.
So
So
the-
now, to move forward, you guys waiting for that, for Trump to do that, make that.
Well, we're not waiting on Trump. We
So
just
now,
waiting.
what can we do? What can, where you guys at now? What you guys, as, you know,
was trying
before-
to do coordination, you said July 4th,
For
right?
July 4th, that's what we're planning. We got a musical director, Dr.
Pastor Frank Deal.
Frank
Is that
Deal.
name or
We got a couple of other folks that are
Deal,
committed
Pastor
to
Frank Deal.
Robert's,
No, what church is this?
what's his name? Kaina. His family,
Life.
his cousin is running for
Tree of
running for
Life,
governor. I
but
think
he
it is.
merged with Living Words Christian Center,
So-
which is wrong.
so what you guys trying to do?
Is she
What
still
is it, what is
carrying
it, promotion?
Well, we had a meeting with
I
folks
even
from
asked CPS, I was like,
two
"She's
meetings
dangerous, or
actually.
she have a problem?"
New
They're
Zealand.
like, no, she's
Chief
really good and
Butch,
sweet with her
who
daughter.
is
She
the
just
chief,
can't get
and he's,
stable housing. They literally have caused everybody
He,
to
we
just.
we want to open a bank.
I know.
Is it an antique?
Girl, shall we
Is it
turn
antique?
around the house?
Hi, pretty girl.
He's
Did
playing with
you show her the
water. He's
fountain?
playing water.
Did you show her the
She
fountain?
really loves the water.
All the kids
Yeah,
love
she
that
does.
fountain. They like to touch it.
Yeah, she loved that.
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So
Finish up, Maureen.
we're looking to open a bank,